The views expressed in the following program do not necessarily represent the views of this station or its management.
Real People, Real Life is brought to you by these fine sponsors.
Welcome back once again. Real People, Real Life, right here, Wichita, Kansas, America. Hello.
Oh, hi, Robin.
Hi. Of course, we already know Fawcett.
Back
We know
again.
Dawn, of course. Yep, Big Joe. And Dawn is sitting in with us today because we don't know where Joe is.
Yes.
I have no
Joey's
idea.
missing. If you guys
Joey's
know
missing.
that.
If you might know where he is out there, tell him.
Please.
Search party reports it
On
said.
I think he's hanging out with Greg Orman.
Oh, is that what it is? Is that what it
Both
is?
missing in action, yeah.
Yeah, well, they're both missing in action. That's kind of scary. This is our 10th show.
Wow.
Okay, I know.
10, that was fast.
10th show already. And, we do cover a lot of things that a lot of times mainstream media doesn't want to touch, and we always leave it up to the people that are willing to come on the show and tell us what their opinions are. We may, on occasion, obviously voice our opinions too.
Once or twice.
Once or twice, right? but I'm just wondering, the first show was on Common Core.
Common, yeah.
Yeah. How do you
Right.
feel? At this point, I stand against Common Core. I've made up
as
my
well.
mind.
I do too.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at on that.
They haven't presented any information that I feel like said we needed Common Core, it was necessary in any way, shape, or form, or that it was productive.
Right.
So, as far as I am concerned,
How
I think
did
it's
schools of the
negative.
past actually put out a product with less money?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we step into just one, okay, I want to go through. I looked at this and I was like, okay, we're going on show 10 here, and when we look at the topics of some of the shows, it is a little bit unusual. So if we were to first of all, let everybody know that they can catch the show weekly. Okay, Tuesday evenings, Great Plains TV, 26.1, also on cable channel AT&T, Uverse cable channel 49, and then we repeat it again on Saturday mornings on Newsmax. And of course, usually by Wednesday, we've picked up the show and we've put it all over on different Facebook, YouTube accounts, and different various locations like that. So if you want to go back and kind of look at all the last 9 shows that we've done so far, I would suggest that you go to the Facebook page called Real People, Real Life.
Yeah.
All of the shows are there. You're welcome to go back, check them out, and that way you kind of have a little bit of an idea. But since we're here today, I just wanted to go back through some of these and let's see how we all stand, because part of the show is trying to give some amount of education,
Right.
And not do we always all agree by any stretch of the imagination.
Usually we don't.
Usually
Don't we
we
have to have Common Core to get that education?
Well,
I'm a little worried
that's a
about
matter
this.
of opinion.
So let's just by vote here. Who wants to see? Because I know Oklahoma said C you wouldn't want to be a Common Core, and I think that we could do that here in Kansas if the right
smart.
people were elected. We could make that happen. So who at this table is for Common Core? Raise your
Not
hand.
I.
Not me.
No
Who
one.
is against Common Core?
Says I.
Says
Okay.
I.
Our second show, we had a very dear friend of ours, mine in particular, Carl Peter John was here.
Yes.
And we talked about Agenda 21, also known as REAP, R-E-A-P, and folks thought we were crazy and said there's no such thing as Agenda 21. And of course, we had to remind them that in 2012, our Sedgwick County Commissioners had a huge fight over the verbiage of that. Based on what we've found out and what we've heard about Agenda 21 and REAP, who agrees with Agenda 21 and REAP?
I'm scared to death
Show
of
of
it.
hands. Who disagrees?
Yeah,
Okay. The next show, just as a situation here, we looked at free gun locks.
Yes.
And as we were instructed by a local gun store owner, Knapp Weaponry, as a matter of fact, that the police department has a ton of gun locks,
Boxes and
boxes of gun locks that they could easily distribute to
For free to everyone, the
for
public.
free,
gun
especially people that have small children in
Right.
the home. But when they cut back on the budget, that included,
Distributing them.
well, yeah, it was public policing, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. The public working with the police department. When they
cut
got
that.
rid of that budget, they said they had no means to distribute the gun locks. How do you feel about, should we have gun locks in a home where there are children, okay, whether we have to buy them or do we
Right,
feel
or
that the
get 'em.
city should provide them? Or do you say forget gun locks? If you do not want gun locks, raise your hand.
You don't want a gun lock, Joe? Of course you don't.
No.
Who wants to be able to shoot someone at all
Who
points?
wants gun locks if they in fact have small children in their home?
I do. I would
do
like to
too.
see every gun owner.
Yeah. If you have small children in your
Locks
house,
Yes,
don't
I do.
small children,
replace training.
Huh.
Locks don't replace
And,
training.
and
That
that's,
is
that's
absolutely
true too.
valid.
That's true too.
Just
I'm not going to
additional
take that away
safety.
from
But with
you.
small children, I do think it's very necessary.
But I also want to
It
throw in, I
becomes
think
a
it's
crutch.
really a cop out for them to say they don't have the funding to distribute them.
Well,
I'm
see, I
sorry.
have to agree. I didn't like that
I feel like
either.
going out the door, each cop that's going to pull somebody over could ask them, "You got a gun?"
Exactly.
Here's a
Yes.
lock.
Right.
You know,
Yes,
while
ma'am.
they're working, so
Right,
they could just
right.
grab a scoop.
Yes,
full.
Some
ma'am.
folks need a gun lock. Okay, then we tackled proposed sales tax
Ooh.
for and against. So, who here is for the increased sales tax?
Look, I'll be for it when they can prove to me that we got the entire sales tax that was supposed to be given back to us, you know, for it to stop once the arena was done to stop. We would be paying 6%. Okay, when it's that, I'll talk about going back up to 7 again. But
We're at 7.15
and they'll
now.
stand in your face and tell you that that's been done. And I want you to go down. It was 6% when that tax went into effect. Go down right now and buy something. And then
I
see if
believe
you
it's
agree.
7.5.
Yeah, I believe it is.
10.1,
It is.
It is. Okay, so
It did drop, and then they moved it right back up.
exactly.
Okay.
7.5,
Okay.
yeah.
So who here, just among us, and again, this is our chance to, because sometimes we don't always get out there and do it and give our
Right.
opinion.
Here's our
So
chance.
here's our chance. Okay. Don't say that
Giving our
we don't say
opinion.
we weren't given a chance. Okay. Who here is for the proposed sales tax increase? And
Shocking.
I know.
Shocking.
And who's against it?
I would be against it.
I'd be against it at this
I'm
time.
against it because it takes 1 cent out of every dollar spent out of the economy, puts it in government's pocket.
I have a laundry
That's
list of
reducing
reasons.
sales to
The
merchants.
food, it's just, yeah.
I know. If
We all hate it.
Then we looked at our next show just for a moment, and we called it a multicultural experience.
Loved it.
And on that was so
was
cool
awesome.
because we had, you
Love
know,
that
oh my gosh, you know, we had
So many-
Milmar here.
Oh, yeah,
you
we
know,
had-
we had
So many people.
Senator Oletha was here. You know, Sue from the American
Mohan
Indian.
from the
and
East
Mohan,
Indies.
yeah. So we had a
And we had a
you know,
chef.
Oh, and we had
Jason.
Chef Jason from
Not
Taste and
Febreze,
See.
but
Yeah, not
Febreze.
Febreze. He said, whatever you say.
Febreze.
But,
I don't
you know,
know.
that was really one of the funnest shows to me because we
Yeah.
got to meet
That was our best show.
outstanding
Very educational.
people from here in Wichita that had, you know,
Yes.
different opportunities and different ways that they were raised, and because of, you know, their upbringing, different things.
I had no culture. I missed it.
Yeah, you were. I think you were sick or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Shocking,
could've really
once again.
benefited
Yeah.
from that too.
So who would like to? My question is, okay, if you liked that show, would you be willing to do another one similar to that with new guests?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Right
yes.
here.
Back again.
Okay, all right.
I'm
Then I
so
do want to do another one of those. Now, the 7th show was actually about local budgets. And the reason that we had those guests, which included John Todd and O'Donnell, was because I wanted to get out what exactly are the City of Wichita budget, what is the Sedgwick County budget, and what is the budget for our local schools, USD 259, right? So now that we were able to get those budgets out there, which was kind of hard to get them to come, you know, and give us this information, how do you feel about having some more folks come on and we discuss budgets and issues when it comes to both city, county, and or state? Who wants
yeah,
to
most
do more of that?
definitely.
I'd like to see
Wow.
just drilled down into the school district budget because that's got
Yeah.
probably the least amount of oversight going on
It
in
does.
this area.
It
by
does.
far.
So
I would be
And that's
in
the
for
largest
more
budget.
of that.
more of that.
I mean,
Okay.
the more we can get them to inform us of what's available budget wise.
And I think it was because of diving into the local budgets and we saw the amount of money that the city has, the county has, and the school district has that made
It was
some of us
shocking.
sitting here going,
Yeah.
and we need an increase in our sales tax
For what?
what? You know, that was
You
kind of an
know,
eye-opener.
exactly, that was.
And Joe did bring some of the things, you know, on the proposed sales tax that I thought was fascinating. What's going on with the pumps out at Cheney Lake. So, you know, taking in the fact that we got folks to come forward on the local budgets and what exactly we were looking at kind of gave us a whole nother feeling on that proposed sales tax. So I say, yeah, let's do another one on
Yeah.
budgets, local, whatever. The next one, again, was a little bit controversial. Okay.
Right.
Hemp and cannabis, you know.
In Kansas.
In
Mhm.
Kansas, you know. You know, I've been a supporter of hemp as an industry and cannabis for 8 years that I can think of here in Wichita. I don't even think is usual that we had a chance to cover everything that we could have covered. I'd like to see some more on the
Medical aspect
medical
of it.
aspect
I
of
would
it.
too.
Does anybody have,
I would be very
can we
much
do
so.
some more
Please.
research and shows on that one? Okay, right
I
on.
think we need to do some in-depth, maybe a field trip to Colorado, just to
Oh, well, hey.
Oh,
that's-
well,
Yeah,
that
I
would
think
be
the camera guys
wonderful.
wouldn't mind going.
Always up for
Let's go.
traveling.
Yeah, let's go to Co and hang for a week and shoot a couple shows from there. That sounds
You know,
a
the
great
Secret
idea.
Cup was this week in Colorado.
I know,
no.
I know, right? And
Cup doesn't
then
work.
and then last week, which was just one of the most incredible shows that we've done in quite a while, was on post-traumatic stress disorder. And
You know, that was a really powerful show.
that was very, 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 very powerful.
And informative. Those guys, what was his name? Sue?
We had
Mark.
with the Patriot
Right.
Outdoors Adventures.
Patriot
Adventures with
Outdoors
Patrick.
Adventures. That
Yes.
program.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. And
The world needs more people like him.
Exactly.
Mark
I was
Spencer.
at a local hospital from Friday most of the weekend, and it was really interesting to me talking to everybody from the anesthesiologists to the nurses to the surgeons to the folks in the cafeteria. You know, they were like, "You guys talk about stuff on your show that." Wow, we never hear anybody talking about, and that's the whole point, is trying to keep it real people, real life. You know, what's going on, you know, how can we do this? So that's what I kind of hope our mission is to continue doing the same thing,
Absolutely.
which brings
Keep it
us
interesting.
to our topic for today. I am not done by any stretch of the imagination with post-traumatic stress disorder shows, by the way.
Correct.
I would like to see some more that we can add to that in the future too. But today, I think is going to be fascinating. We're going to discuss vaccines.
Yes, and that is a very, very serious topic.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I mean,
Very sensitive
it
topic.
basically changed my life.
and
I
our
know back when I was a kid, they had like 4 vaccines. I looked it up. There was like 4. Then polio came out, made it 5. 2010, they're up to 14.
Yeah, it's
Right.
ridiculous
And the
what they're
age
up
is
to
younger
now.
and younger
And,
and
and what
younger.
they're
just
trying to
keeps getting
give.
a little bit more carried
I'm
away.
so glad that we're
Yes.
going to have the guests that we're going to have.
Yes, we
today.
do, and I'm honored to say that we do have Dr. Lamadou, and then of course our spotlight on local business, which I'm totally thrilled about, is the world famous, located here in Wichita, Donut Hole. The owners from the Donut Hole will be joining us here in just a little bit, so it's going to be a fantastic, real people, real life,
Yes.
right here. We'll be right back.
Real People, Real Life is brought to you by these fine sponsors.
Sal's Japanese Steakhouse, 6829 East Kellogg Drive. A Wichita tradition for awesome dining and always a great time. Enjoy our Monday to Thursday specials, including half-price chicken and shrimp dinners. Sal's is open 7 days a week. Come in, relax, and let us give you the treat of fine dining and good fun in a beautiful atmosphere. From our family to yours, Sal's Japanese Steakhouse, 6829 East Kellogg, Wichita, Kansas.
At Economy Motors, we know that everything costs more these days. Gas costs more, utilities cost more, groceries cost more. But what's one thing that will not cost you more? Buying your next vehicle with us. Everything we have is priced $12,995 or under. Bad credit, no worries. No crazy gimmicks and no bait and switch. We keep it real. Economy Motors, home of Easy Pay. We've got your back.
Don't worry, please, don't worry, 'cause at Economy Motors, we got your back.
Hammond Liquor, home of the coldest beer in town and the lowest prices store-wide. For all your special events, your friends at Hammond Liquor have what you need, from beer, wines, spirits, champagne, and more. Open till 8 p.m. every Sunday. Hammond Liquor, West Kellogg and Tyler Road. Hammond Liquor, home of the coldest beer in town and lowest prices store-wide, wants to remind you of very important savings days. Wine Day, Tuesdays get 20% off. Beer Day, Wednesdays get 10% off. Microbrews and imports. Open till 8 p.m. every Sunday. Hammond Liquor, West Kellogg and Tyler Road.
It's a breeze when you know your mover.
And we want to be the mover you know. We are ready to move your home or office and provide you with quality, safe, long and short-term storage services. We move locally, statewide and across the nation. When you know your mover, you can rest assured that your possessions will be cared for and treated with the utmost care. Call us today and schedule a free estimate for your next move at 316-838-6140.
Welcome back once again, real people, real life, right here, Wichita, Kansas, America. America. All right, we are honored. Thank you, sir. Dr. Lamadou?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Okay, first of all, kind of give us a little bit of background about yourself and why you are our go-to person to talk to us today about vaccines. Good question.
Well, yeah.
He's like that cross.
Might be a little dichotomy here, but I'm a licensed chiropractor. I have advanced alternatives for health in East Douglas. Been practicing for 17 years. I do nutritional therapy, so I do a lot of type of nutrition that not readily found in Wichita or really in other areas. But I got into nutrition because of the fact, excuse me, I used to notice when I first became a chiropractor that when people had structural issues, it'd always be tied in with something that was going on organically, something with their organs. And then one thing led to the next, and before you know it, you start seeing all these other things that are going on in the body that are affecting, these people.
Right.
So that's how I got more involved with it, and that's how I began seeing how vaccines were. There may be some good things to them, but on the other hand, too, it's a big wash. It's causing a lot of problems as well.
Now, you have a CDC report, is that correct, that you were going to tell me something about?
Well, we were talking about, we thought we'd open up with
The whistleblower.
The whistleblower, because I thought it was
Thank
really...
God for her. Was it a guy?
It was a guy.
It was a hit.
For this year.
That's right.
Thank God for him.
This
Goodness
year.
for him.
Let's hear about the whistleblower.
Well, this whistleblower is William Thompson. He's a senior research scientist for the CDC, and he was on. They did one of the reports in 2004 that was really exonerating MMR from this causal effect with autism. Well, it turns out through dialogue with another, actually he's a PhD. Who's a biochemist, they started going back and forth, and so Brian started extracting information from the CDC about these reports, and so he started doing analysis. And as he did the analysis the same way the CDC would, he contacted Dr. Thompson. He says, I noticed a correlation here that the black population is affected by the MMR vaccine more than any other part of the population. Of course, this was done in Georgia. And so what he found was that the black population is about 3.4 times more susceptible to autism.
Really?
If they
I did
receive
not know that.
if they receive the MMR vaccine before 3 years of age.
Before 3 of age?
Before 3 of age.
Isn't it timeline scheduled for at 12 months? Isn't that when they...
Yes. And so... it used to be 15 months, but 12 months. And so what happened was Dr. Thompson said to Brian, he says, well, you found it. See, they already knew it. And so what happened was when they came across that data, they changed it. What they did was they changed the criteria. They decided, which is not normal for a study, what they did was they excluded any of the population that didn't have a valid Georgia birth certificate.
Wow.
So that dropped the
because
the
how many
base
people
down.
have moved there,
Yeah, well, so that dropped the base down to like 41%. So then what happens is
skews the results.
You skew the results.
It's just like any other poll.
This is what happens, with a lot of this research. And when it first came out, I said, well, this is just the tip of the iceberg, because it's not the first time this has happened. So right now, I mean, if our little scientists go back and verify these things like Snopes.com, which is establishment rag, you're gonna get on there and you'll see like, well, this is false.
It's owned by your buddy George Soros. It's got to be true.
So
yeah, right.
And so this is very deceiving. There's a big cover up. The media is not covering it.
True.
You notice that?
Oh, yeah.
No coverage.
Yeah.
This story broke this summer, didn't it?
No, just recently.
Just
recently. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But last year, then we had 2 other whistleblowers come through with the MMR vaccine.
Really?
Yeah.
Why haven't we heard of that?
Well, we did.
Sort of.
Well, people who are in the know.
Yeah.
But you have to be in the know. You have to be looking for these things. And so there are 2 virologists that came forth telling us how Merck was basically skewing the results again. So what they did was they were comparing the mumps vaccine, or the mumps in the MMR, to the mumps vaccine. They weren't even comparing it to the natural disease. And so they looked like they were equal. And then they started adding animal antibodies there to boost the results. And then they started changing, then they altered, they cooked the quantitative results on there. So this came out last year. We haven't really heard a whole lot about that.
No, not at all.
And nothing will happen because, again, these people are, these pharmaceutical companies are protected. I always go back to the 4 branches of government. You have the executive, you have the Senate, you have the House of Representatives, and you have the lobbyists.
Right.
And you see the lobbyists, the pharmaceutical companies, chemical companies, they are the most powerful. And so it makes it very difficult.
They make customers, not cures.
Yeah, exactly.
That's horrible though, because I'm affected by this. My life was affected by this, and there's no one that's going to stand responsible. When I say that, there'll be no consequence for their actions, because that is an action. They took action to skew the results, basically putting this known harm out there, and not only putting it out there, but basically forcing us to do this by requiring it for school and requiring it to be a good parent or whatever.
Well, there are ways you can get around that, but a lot of people don't know.
So before we go on this train here, because there are a lot of bad vaccines here, but there, you always have to look at the grain of truth. Unfortunately, when somebody's labeled anti-vaccinationist, right, they don't know anything apparently, and so they refuse to look at anything. But there's a lot of truth to what we say about the dangers of vaccines. I see it in my practice. But there's also, we always hear, vaccine saves lives. Well, how true is that? It is true to a certain degree, but not the degree that we think. And so I thought, like, the MMR is, the measles vaccine is a great example because, from the 1920s to the 1950s, we had thousands down to hundreds. In fact, I had a little timetable here of some of the incidents from 1912 was 155, basically 156,000 incidents, but almost 4,000 deaths. But then then it diminishes, and then you come down to 1950 and 1960, all right, where 1960 had 441, 703 instances of measles, but only 380 deaths, all right? But this is without a vaccine. So this is the problem. When they say vaccines are responsible for eliminating, eradicating, first, we haven't eradicated measles. We never will eradicate measles. It's not going to happen. But the point is, largely, this was diminishing because of what? Better nutrition,
awareness,
better hygiene, better medical care, things of that nature. Kind of the same thing we used to say with what? The fluoridation issue.
Exactly.
Right? It's the same thing. So
from 1912, where you had roughly 156,000 that they...
Well, the population was much smaller then.
Well,
also.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
so we only had around 4,000 deaths. But we get all the way up here to 1960.
380.
There was only 380 deaths.
Now, this is before the vaccine. So the first vaccine that came out for the measles was the monovalent measles vaccine in 1963. Now, what the old pediatricians knew, they saw a big drop. All right. Now we can go back down. 1970, we had like 89 deaths. Yeah, we still had like 47,000 with the immunization. With the immunization, not that everybody's immunized.
But that was a single immunization.
But that's the monovalent vaccine. So there was an efficacy to it, and it did reduce deaths. So there is that point. All right. And the same thing with the rubella. The rubella vaccine came out in what was it in?
69? No.
The mumps came out in 67, the rubella came out in 69.
Okay.
So these are all monovalent vaccines. They all did the same thing. So they did save lives. Okay. But there's a problem with that as well. It's not true immunity. And so what we're also finding is that mothers are not passing on natural immunity to their children. So when we're seeing more measles now in children, under 1 year of age. So we're lacking this natural immunity, and that's why they used to teach that immunity was for a lifetime. When you got a vaccine, it's for life. Then they found out, well, this is not true. It's not working. And then we're finding out that these mothers are not passing along natural immunity. Now, what happened is, okay, those are okay. But what happened was in 1971, then we had MMR appeared.
Right.
Okay.
The stacking.
That's where they put the 3 into 1.
And the testing was very short, inadequate, and it didn't really catch on. See, the doctors really liked what they were using there. They saw the results. The older pediatricians knew that when children suffered more than one disease at a time, they always got much sicker. So why give them all those at the same time? All right. But by 1970, towards the end of the 70s, that's when HMOs, didn't want to pay for the office visits. They didn't want to pay the nominal
So that's
fees.
3 office visits as opposed to 1.
Yeah, they didn't want to pay the nominal fees for the vaccines. State
Chase
health
Stewart.
departments were pushing it. They're pushing it, and they want to cut down on personnel and refrigeration. And so you have all these factors here. So, and of course, I'm sure pharmaceutical companies were pushing this as well. And so then we have this push now forcing doctors to do the MMR. And that's shortly after that, that's when we start seeing this increase in autism.
Okay. And that's why it went from 1 in 8,000 or 1
Well, who knows for sure? They say 1 in 2010 is 1 in 69, but who knows what the real numbers are?
Yeah, well, obviously, who knows what
really
the real
does?
numbers are when the CDC and anybody that's trying to put a report or a study of some sort out there, I always have to, I feel like I have to double check and triple check, because a lot of times they're putting their own spin on it, whatever's going to benefit them, and maybe not.
Nobody spins anything. What country did you go?
My happy
Can I ask you a
honey.
question?
Sure.
Yeah.
You were saying there are ways to heal the effects of this, like to reverse it or to possibly.
I think you can, for the most part, if it's caught in time, if it's treated early enough, sure, there's dietary changes and nutritional therapy, but you can't. I've never seen it where you can reverse it to where
it's
never has an
gone or
effect.
anything. Okay, but you can make it a higher functioning.
Sure, absolutely.
And you'll agree, there's a huge connection between nutrition and brain health, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, and so there's a possibility to undo some of the things if you are willing to face it and treat it, right?
There's always room for improvement, and it depends on the severity, and of course with autistic children you have there's different challenges.
So different.
Yeah, it's a little different.
If you've met one autistic child, you've met one autistic child.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's sometimes it has taste sensitivities. It's harder to get.
Yes.
More difficult to get them to taste things, but they have you can do things too.
We're gonna take a quick break here for just a minute, but we're gonna come back and talk obviously a little bit more about MMR, and one that I want to talk to you about that Gardasil, and then of course the Hep B, the flu, anthrax. There's a few more things that I still want to cover. So we're gonna ask you to stay with us. Okay, we're not gonna let you go. Okay,
You're stuck.
You're stuck. We're not gonna let you leave yet.
I have to pick your brain some more.
But we'll be right back in just a moment. Real people, real life.
Real People, Real Life is brought to you by these fine sponsors.
Credit King Auto Sales is getting better all the time. We're doing it better. We're doing it better all the time.
Credit King Auto Sales, the king of buy here, pay here. Bad credit, no problem. The King specializes in getting you in the ride you want no matter the credit score. Credit King doing it better all the time with the largest selection to choose from in all price ranges at one location. The King's Corner, 31st Street South and Broadway. Kansas' biggest buy here, pay here. GoCreditKing.com.
Hammond Liquor, home of the coldest beer in town and lowest prices store-wide, wants to remind you of very important savings days. Wine Day, Tuesdays get 20% off. Beer Day, Wednesdays get 10% off. Microbrews and imports. Open till 8 p.m. every Sunday. Hammond Liquor, West Kellogg and Tyler Road.
Knapp Weaponry is the home of Wichita's newest indoor temperature-controlled shooting range. Mention this ad for 2-for-1 pricing weekdays from noon to 4. Knapp Weaponry is an NRA Business Alliance member that offers NRA and state-certified instruction classes, training, and women's unarmed self-defense classes. We buy and sell new and used guns and offer gunsmith services. Knapp Weaponry offers a free range session with the purchase of a new gun. We also offer transfer services and an array of ammo. Knapp Weaponry, the West Side's best-kept secret. At Trailer Town, we're all about selection, service, and safety. Trailer Town Selection, hundreds to choose from, small to large, lightweight aluminum to heavy-duty steel, all types, new and used. Trailer Town Service, the best in the Midwest, from wiring to axle repair. Trailer Town Safety. Yes, we do Department of Transportation inspections. Trailer Town. Trusted, family owned. 301 West 53rd Street North.